have to ask you. I have a brother. I love my brother. I don't know if I could work on a movie with my brother. What would you say was the most beneficial part of working with somebody so close to you, and also maybe the most challenging?
We're very different people.
Yes.
Very different. And she's good at being a producer, and I'm good at being a director. But sometimes, like, we have different ways of doing things, and or I'm shooting, and I like to shoot. I'm fairly like prolific with takes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a way to put it?
That's a great way for a director to put it.
And of course, the job of a producer sometimes is cutting your knees,
Mm-hmm.
cut you in the knee, because they're thinking of the time, and
And you're like, I'm a creative. Just give me creative freedom.
yeah. So that's when the roles start changing. Suddenly, like the producer turns into my sister,
What was the...
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, wait.
and we're like fighting in the middle of set.
What was the key for you to make this reinvention feel so fresh? Because it does. It does not feel like just a complete remake in that
Yeah.
sense. How did you navigate that?
Well, like, I always wanted to make a translation as faithful as possible to the book,
Mm-hmm.
and the book was fresh, the story was fresh, the characters were fresh, even though it was like 1950s. It was a different time. It was a childhood, it was King's portrayal of his childhood years,
Right.
which was the 50s. I don't know anything about the 60s because I didn't live that, but I lived in the 80s, and so basically it was translating the spirit into nowadays, or most like nowadays when I was a child. Does that make sense?
Yes, and very last question for you.
Yeah.
Stephen King, he tweeted his approval. He's clearly so happy. Were you with him when he saw the film, and what was that like?
No, he didn't want to see it with anyone. He wanted, he's Stephen King is the most adapted writer of all times, and so he knows, he has a philosophy about it, and he knows that an adaptation is a different animal than what the original book is, and he gives like the freedom for the filmmaker to do his adaptation. And yeah, so he wanted to see it by himself, probably because of more than once he probably saw the movie with a filmmaker next to him and he didn't like it. So I guess I wasn't as comfortable, and so it made sense. But then he saw it, and I think he really loved it.